What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Timeless Movie Podcast, episode number 153. My name is Victor Vasquez. Appreciate you joining me on this episode and this channel where all we do is talk about and discuss new movies that come out in theaters. Sometimes we check out new ones that come out in streaming. But the overall goal of this podcast is just to have fun discussions about movies, give our opinions, whether you should check them out. And then at the end of the podcast, we decide after watching a movie one time, can we decide if it is timeless? Is it something that we want to rewatch in the future, maybe own it as an actual physical media or digital, whatever you like, whatever you prefer, but can we see ourselves rewatching these movies in the future? Now, this podcast is available on platforms like YouTube, Spotify, and Apple Podcast. Let me know your thoughts. Let me know your opinions on previous movies that I have discussed or any upcoming ones. You can also reach out to me on different social media platforms as well. I'm on Instagram, Blue Sky, Threads as well. On all those platforms, you can just look me up on Timeless Movie Podcast. And if you ever want to send me an email or any questions that you have, or let me know of your own thoughts and opinions on movies that you've recently seen, or reach out to my email. It's timelessmoviepod@gmail.com. All right, speaking of prior movies that we have seen or discussed, episode 152 of the Timeless Movie Podcast is out on the previous platforms that I just mentioned. And on that episode, I ended up talking about this new film by Justin Tipping called Him. It is a sports horror type of a movie. Very interesting concept. A lot of things are thrown in there and mixed up. I thought the movie was just okay, but go check out that discussion and let me know if you agree or disagree with some of the things that I had in regards to the movie Him. All right, everybody, let's go ahead now and move into this week's new movie in which we are talking about One Battle After Another. This one is directed by Paul Thomas Anderson, and it has a whole slew of different actors. I saw the trailer for this one a couple months ago, and I was all in. I saw Leonardo DiCaprio. He's one of those kind of big-time actors that anything he comes out in, I just know he's going to deliver. And just the way that he looked, the way that, he was talking on a payphone, it just all felt so weird and funny that hooked me immediately. And then come to find out that we had a lot of different actors that were also going to be coming out in this film. And it just looked like a really, almost like an action thriller comedy, all mixed into one. And so I was all in. So let's go ahead now and transition over into the non-spoiler thoughts of One Battle After Another, that we can kind of get a better sense as to what I thought about this movie. Okay, One Battle After Another was, like I mentioned before, directed by Paul Thomas Anderson. He is obviously known, if you don't know or aren't aware, he's known for movies like There Will Be Blood, Boogie Nights, Licorice Pizza, Phantom Thread, so many different movies that have really come out over the last couple of years that people have loved or liked. And so now he is out with another one here in One Battle After Another. This one stars Leonardo DiCaprio, Tiana Taylor, Regina Hall, Benicio del Toro, Sean Penn, Chase Infinity, and just a lot of different types of actors that play really great roles in this movie. So let me give you a synopsis. That way you can kind of get a sense as to what this movie is about in case you're curious or in case you haven't seen any trailers as well. One Battle After Another basically follows a father and daughter that are called Bob and Willa. Bob is played by Leonardo DiCaprio, and Willa is played by Chase Infinity. And so in this story, Bob and Willa are in a little town called Backton Cross. Bob, who used to be a part of a kind of resistance group, kind of moved away from that life after he had his daughter, and he does all he can in order to protect her and shield her from not getting into any trouble or not having anybody do any harm to her. But as the story rolls along, the audience then finds out about this character named Colonel Lockjaw, who is played by Sean Penn. Colonel Lockjaw has one mission: to find Bob and Willa and apprehend them. And why does he want to do that? Well, he actually had run-ins with Willa's mother, who was called Perfidia Beverly Hills, who was played by Tiana Taylor. Lockjaw and Perfidia had a lot of different types of encounters. And so because of these run-ins, because of these different types of roadblocks that Lockjaw faced, well, now he's going to take it out on Willa and Bob. And so that's essentially what the story is about. It is about Bob trying to protect Willa at all cost, and some crazy stuff goes down as well. What did I think about One Battle After Another? I thought that this movie was great. I mean, from the performances to the themes to all of the ways that the story would kind of take you in regards to all these characters and how they all kind of come into play, everything was just executed so well. And I felt like this movie was very much like of the times. And what I mean by that is, of the like this year, 2025, it deals with a group of resistance members or revolutionists who want to hit back at people that have authority that are not using it for the right way. And so again, it deals with going into these types of detainment camps where they have a lot of immigrants and they're getting deported. You have this military that is trying to show their power and show what they're like. And so again, I feel like it's very much the way that it kind of relates to how the current US environment looks like, where we have this crappy administration that is trying to scare and tell people that they're going to get deported, which is just ridiculous. But I think this movie does it so well that it doesn't bash you over the head with, look, this film is taking place now. It's happening here in the US. It does it in a very like subtle way where it's like, hey, look, there are these resistance groups, but then it adds that little bit of humor. It adds the action. It adds all these other elements that just makes it a just well fleshed out movie as well. So really, again, very modern take on a movie that I really enjoyed. Let me jump into a couple of pros and cons that we kind of get a sense as to what I enjoyed or maybe didn't enjoy so much about this movie. Okay, first pro that I want to call out of One Battle After Another is the costume design. What's so funny about this though is that the characters aren't wearing anything crazy or spectacular or like expensive. It's just very simple clothes, but I feel like it could definitely become iconic and I can already see people like people that come out on social media, people that are just kind of dressing up to watch this movie. Every character has something that's just so it stands out. It just looks so unique and it fits the character and what they're doing in the movie. The best example is Bob, who is played by Leonardo DiCaprio. If you've seen the trailers, he's literally in the whole movie really wearing a robe, wearing glasses, a beanie, and he's just running around, backed and cross, running around this whole city trying to help his daughter and find his daughter as well. And all he's doing is wearing a robe, and it just looks so funny. But again, as you get to know the character of Bob in this movie, you can then see, okay, this is why he's wearing this robe. This is why he looks all raggedy, but it just makes sense. Then you have Chase Infinity, who plays Willa. Willa just wears a leather jacket and a skirt. And the reason she's wearing a skirt is because she's actually going to a school dance. But even that outfit, like, just looks cool. It looks like, again, makes sense with her character. And as you get to know her more, you get to see how fearless she is as well and how great of a character she ends up becoming. And then even Sergio, who is played by Benicio del Toro. He is a guy that runs a kind of like a dojo. He is actually Willa's sensei, and he teaches her, I want to say it was karate or taekwondo, one of the two, but he is such a cool and calm, collected character, and all he's wearing the whole movie is like a tracksuit. And it's just, every character had something in particular that just fit with what they were doing in the movie, and all the clothes just felt authentic. Like, these are just real clothes for real people. I don't know, it really worked for me, and I can definitely see these being Halloween costumes, be these items worn in future years. As soon as you see somebody in a robe with glasses and a beanie, you immediately think, oh, that's Bob Ferguson from One Battle After Another. So costume design was super effective in this movie. Okay, second pro for me is going to be the theme of resistance. Now, the main kind of plot or the main concept of resistance is obviously going to be the one where I kind of mentioned before. You have this resistance group called the French 75, and they are just all in on trying to force authority to just not be so controlling, right? They go and crash different types of detainment centers, and they just try to help and get as many immigrants out of there so that they can just not be deported and not have a terrible life. But there's also other things that I really enjoyed about the theming of resistance. And it's actually not just like the overarching theme of it in the movie. It's more of the characters themselves and the way that they face resistance. For example, you have Willa, who faces the resistance of not wanting to listen to other people talk about her mother. Everybody is telling her about who her mother was and what she did and how Will is going to turn into her mother. And she has to resist that kind of temptation and the feeling of listening to those people and instead become her own woman. You then have Bob, who also faces resistance. He's trying to resist the urge of being afraid and the fear. He controls his daughter and tries to protect her so much, even to the point of not letting her have a phone. And he eventually gets over that and has to resist that fear in order to let her, again, become her own person and let her experience different parts of her own world. Uh, Even to the point of Tiana Taylor, who plays Perfidia, she has to resist the urge of being boxed in. She never wants to be told what to do. She doesn't want to be almost stuck in a prison. And she does anything she can to just run away from these boxes and these things that they're trying to place in her life and kind of, again, to box her in and to hold her. She does not want to be held down. And so I really loved the fact that, again, it wasn't just the overall theming of, hey, this is resistance to authoritative power. It's more so every character facing some type of challenge and roadblock and how they get through that. So, really good stuff on that kind of theming perspective. Moving on to my third pro, which is the actual score. Want to give props to Johnny Greenwood, who is the individual that composed and developed the music. He created a lot of really cool sounds as you're seeing different scenes play out. But there's this one specific score and sound that was just like a piano, just very simple, like a couple of keys, but it sounded so cool and it added so much to certain scenes, especially when characters were driving or they were trying to get away from somebody or there was just a lot of tension. And again, I love it when music can just add so much more depth to a scene just to kind of keep you even more engaged. So again, props to Johnny Greenwood and the rest of the team that kind of developed this score, just because I think it really fit well into the one battle after another kind of theming that was going on in this movie. And then last but not least, my final pro is actually going to be the editing. There was a lot of great transitions and kind of movements from scene to scene. I actually got to say that the beginning of the movie, the first 15 minutes, were just edited so well to perfection. It gave the energy of like what this film could be, and it just got me so locked in. It got me into what is Tiana Taylor about, what is Bob about, what are all these characters, who's the main antagonist, which is going to be Sean Penn's Lockjaw, and so those 15 minutes that you were just set up perfectly in regards to what the entire tension of the movie and the energy was going to be about. And really the rest of the film also, just the way that it would highlight and show different characters and the way that it would frame certain shots. So really loved the way that they just kind of kept all of those edits very nice and clean. Now, I do want to say that I do have a couple of cons, and I feel like this is really where I think kind of goes a different path than most people. If you've kept up with social media, if you keep up with all these different types of accounts like Letterbox and things of that nature, I'm pretty sure you might be hearing that, a lot of people are considering One Battle After Another a masterpiece, an instant classic. This is the movie of the year. I don't think I'm there yet. I'm not trying to be a contrarian. I'm not trying to be a hater. And I feel like these cons might make it sound like I didn't like the movie, but that's not it at all. So the first con that I have about One Battle After Another is I actually did feel the movie's length. Uh, it it's a 2 hour and 50-minute movie, but I don't know. I just felt like there was a couple scenes that we could have cut. Like I feel like I'm not saying to drop it to a 2 hour movie, but I would have really loved if it could have been maybe 10 or 15 minutes shaved off. There's a couple of scenes, and I'll probably say this in the spoiler section. I'm not going to say it here, but I feel like there could have been a couple of scenes that could have been cut out and really didn't add too much, or maybe stayed with the character too long. And it just made the movie kind of extend a little bit too long, made me wander just a little bit. Again, that's a very personal thing. I'm going to be in the minority on this. I already know it, but at least wanted to call that out and how I felt about the runtime. And I'm not a guy that doesn't mind a long movie. One of my favorite movies, Endgame, is about 3 hours long. Oppenheimer, a couple years ago, 3 hours long. I saw The Brutalist and I enjoyed it. Wasn't my favorite movie, but that was 3 hours long. So I have no problem with the movie being very long and showing you a lot of stuff. But there was just a couple scenes here that I think could have just been cut to make this movie even tighter. Okay, and then last con, which I think is probably what a lot of people are gonna disagree with me on, is I felt like there was something missing with like the payoff of this movie. Like you have certain characters, have to go through those challenges and hurdles that I was mentioned before, but I felt like there could have been like a exclamation point or something that caps off the movie on such a high note that it just leaves you buzzing. And I didn't really leave the theater buzzing after this movie. I enjoyed it. I had a great time, but I don't know. I felt like there could have been a better payoff for certain characters I don't know, just to make that feel like, yes, this character got what they deserved, or no, this character actually completes their full arc in a very cool way. So I don't know. I felt like something was missing. Maybe as I discuss this a little bit more in the spoiler section, I'll maybe get down to that detail of what I felt like could have been added. But I don't know. To me, I feel like there was maybe a bigger payoff that could have been done in order to make this a much more enjoyable experience for me. All right, those are all the pros and cons I have. First question I want to ask is, should you guys go watch this one in theaters? My answer, it's a simple yes. Go check this out. If you can watch it in IMAX, in Dolby Cinema, there's even 70 millimeter screenings. Go check it out in those formats. I didn't get a chance to get tickets for 70 millimeters, but I'm hoping to watch it again, and I would want to check it out in that format just to get an even wider and bigger picture of this movie. And it is very beautifully shot. So again, if you can, go watch this movie. I highly recommend it. If you're a big Paul Thomas Anderson fan, then even better. And there's a lot of actors. If you like any one of these performers, just watch their film and support them in any way you can. All right, everybody, those are all of the thoughts that I had from a non-spoiler perspective about One Battle After Another. Now let's go ahead and transition over into the spoiler section where we'll start kind of diving into a little bit more about what I liked about it and then answering the question, is this movie timeless? But before we do that, I wanted to give you enough time because again, I am going to start spoiling stuff. So if you do not want to be spoiled, please go watch the movie, come back, and then let me know your thoughts in the comments of Spotify or YouTube, or send me an email or leave a review in Apple Podcasts as well. All right, everybody, let's go ahead now and jump into spoilers for One Battle After Another. And like we always do in every podcast, we always start with this one question at the top of the spoiler section. Is One Battle After Another timeless? Is it something that I can see myself rewatching in the future? As of today, I'm going to say that One Battle After Another is timeless, but I got to be honest, it was just barely timeless for me. I was really debating whether it was something that I would want to rewatch and something that I enjoyed so much. And again, it kept kind of flip-flopping in my mind, but I came to the decision that this movie is timeless. Now, the reason I feel like I was on the fence in regards to maybe it not being timeless was some of the cons that I mentioned before. Again, I'm going to be in the minority. People, let me know in the comments. Let me know that you're going to probably disagree with me and you're probably going to just let me know like, hey, you're completely off on this. And I understand that. It's just the way that my brain works. But I really feel like there could have been something to just really get that payoff that I felt like some of the characters really deserve to get. Like, and one of them, I guess really only one character, was Chase Infinity's Willa. She at the end ends up taking out this one character, this one fixer, I guess, that was meant to assassinate Colonel Lockjaw. You have this moment where Willa ends up saying a specific phrase to see if she can trust this assassin, and he doesn't say the words back, and so she shoots him. And so, she's able to kind of protect herself, and then she ends up meeting her dad, Bob, and them reconnecting. I actually feel like the better payoff for me would have been if Willa actually shot and killed Lockjaw. The entire movie, Lockjaw was trying to find Willa, and then at one point, Willa hears the words that Lockjaw tells her. It's like, you're nothing. You're nobody. You're a mutt. And then like telling her that she's worthless. And it would have just hit so much harder if she was the one, Willa was the one that actually shot and just took out Lockjaw. He was the antagonist. She should have been the one that took him out. Instead, what ends up happening is Lockjaw, the whole movie, he was trying to join this group called the Christmas Adventurers, which is basically a white supremacist group. And he needed to basically get rid of Willa, make sure that he had no relationship of him being with Perfidia. He needed to basically wipe that slate clean. in order to join this group because they're all just white supremacists and they don't want him having any kind of interracial relationships. And so what ends up happening is that Lockjaw ends up getting killed by the Christmas adventurers. So I don't know. To me, that just didn't really make it worth it. It would have made it such a more satisfying ending if it actually would have been Willa who took out Lockjaw and just showed him that, look, my mom, she may have been a rat, but I'm still gonna do what my mom did best, and that's run, and that's go and be a resistance member. Go try to start revolutions, and then take out Lockjaw, the one guy that's in her way. And so that to me would have made me immediately just enjoy the entire arc of Willa. Again, I still think that her arc is complete in that she eventually gets to become a resistance member. She isn't overprotected by Bob anymore. But I just feel like that one final payoff would have been so cool if she's the one that kind of put the bullet in Lockjaw and takes him out. I don't know. Let me know, guys, if you agree or disagree with me. I'm pretty sure I'm going to be disagreed with by a lot of people that are listening. But that's just one of the aspects that I feel like was missing is that could have just made it just, I don't know, a better way to cap off Willa's story is she's able to kind of get a little bit of revenge in regards to the guy that's just been causing terror to not only her father, but her mother in the past and now to her. And so taking him out would have just made that experience a lot more enjoyable. But once again, that's just my opinion. I'm pretty sure a lot of people will not have that same kind of thought process. Now, moving on to why I think this is timeless, let me dive into the first reason, which is the performances. I mean, my goodness, everybody just knocked it out of the park with their roles. I mean, Leonardo DiCaprio, there's nothing else I can say. It's no way that I'm gonna try to prove to you or say like, hey, you got to give his performance a look. Like, no, just by his name that he is going to be an all-star in every movie that he comes out in. And in this one, as Bob Ferguson, no exception. He just plays this guy that's like a shell of his former self. He smokes weed, does drugs, and he slowly has to get over the fear of losing his daughter, letting her go. And so his performance is just so awesome. And he has some of the funniest moments in the movie. There's a lot of moments where he's trying to get through to the French 75 resistance group, and he forgets a code, and he's just having this argument with this guy on the other line, and it's just so freaking funny. So Leonardo DiCaprio had a great performance. Apart from Leo, though, I gotta say that the two standouts and probably the two best performers in the movie are Sean Penn as Lockjaw and Tiana Taylor as Perfidia. Tiana Taylor, my goodness, she actually only came out for the first 15, 20 minutes of the movie. That actually kind of caught me off guard. I thought she was going to be a bigger part of this movie, but the first 20 minutes, I couldn't believe it. I mean, she had this aura about her. She had this energy and charisma. She was a magnet. Everybody was just so focused on her, not only the audience, but the characters themselves. And so, again, how she was able to play this resistance member where she felt like she was just in love with this process of trying to show the authority, the man that, hey, you don't have power here. And she just felt like she was consumed by this energy of, again, being the resistance. And so that was just incredible. Selfishly, I would have loved to see more of Tiana Taylor. I felt like the movie, maybe, and that's another thing that I'm starting to think about is maybe that's why I felt like there was like some type of energy or something missing from the film is the first 15 minutes of Tiana Taylor and setting up her story as Perfidia. I don't know. To me, that was some of the best energy, and I was just so locked in. I was on a high, and then after she leaves, the film kind of drops a little bit, and it kind of just stays very consistent, the same kind of energy. So I guess selfishly, I wish there was more of Perfidia in the movie, more of her getting involved. But again, that's just me rewriting something that's never going to exist. Last but not least, Sean Penn. Oh man, I mean, he plays such a crappy and crummy guy. And you just love to hate him. And I think that was as effective as Sean Penn could be. He was a colonel for the military. He was racist. He wanted to join a white supremacist group. And all you had to do was just, again, look at him and the way that he had his hair, the way that his tics, he had these like weird like lip movements and all this stuff. just the way that they set up this character immediately made you hate him, and his performance just added to that. The way that he would talk to Willa, the way that he would talk to Bob, and all this different stuff. Yeah, I really enjoyed his performance. I think Sean Penn really just, if I had to choose one, I'm probably gonna choose Sean Penn. If Tiana Taylor was in more of the movie, she probably would have been my favorite performance. But my goodness, there's no shortage of great performances. And again, this is the sole reason why I would come back, is to see the funny moments of Bob, to see the interactions of Perfidia and Lockjaw. Let me not forget Benicio del Toro as Sergio. He's the coolest guy in this movie. He is a sensei. He is always in the right type of mindset to be able to calm Bob down, to just let him know, like, hey, everything's gonna be okay. Go over here, charge your phone, everything about it. Like, and again, he's wearing a tracksuit. He just looks so cool. I can't say enough good things about the performances. That's what really brings this movie up to being one of those films that you can just continue to think about some of these scenes and they just become so rewatchable. All right. And then the other item that I would consider one battle after another being timeless is the way that they were able to film a lot of these scenes in the cinematography. I mean, there's so many great shots that they show. Again, the first 15 minutes, the way that they edit those 15 minutes was just incredible. Again, it gives off this awesome energy that just, again, sets you up for what's going to happen in the rest of the film. Also, a couple other things that were really cool is there was this awesome, like, kind of one takes that you have when Sergio and Bob are going up into this little, this little apartment that Sergio lives in, and they follow Sergio and Bob from the bottom of a little, I think it's like a little electronics store, all the way up to the apartment, and it's just a continuous shot. And Bob is freaking out. He's like, I gotta charge my phone. I gotta know where my daughter is. I need the rendezvous point. And then you have Sergio just trying to like tell him, like, hey, go over there, go charge your phone. And at the same time, Sergio is directing all these other people that they've actually been helping immigrants stay away from all these military groups, stopping them from being detained and being deported. And so at the same time, Sergio is kind of directing all the traffic, calming down Bob, and all of it is done in one take. And you just feel the tension. You feel all of this adrenaline of like, okay, what the hell is going to happen? Are they going to be able to escape? So that was one of the best moments of the movie. Other thing that I also want to call out is there was also this cool chase scene that ended up kind of showing Willa being chased by this one assassin, the one I kind of mentioned before. And they're basically on a very long highway, just driving. But the way that they set up these shots, they made the assassin who's in a, like, I think it was a Dodge Charger. They made that car look like its own character. It just kept coming up of a hill. You would see the camera like pan up, and it would look like it's going over the hill of the road. And you're like, okay, when is that Charger going to come out? And then eventually it comes out, and the music kicks in, and so they were able to really add a lot of tension and a lot of intensity to these scenes that really didn't deserve to have that much tension. It's just two cars on a road, one car chasing another, but the way that they filmed it just looked so cool. What else? What's another scene that I just really enjoyed? Again, I keep saying this. I'm a broken record. The first 15 or 20 minutes, I think were just outstanding. That was really my favorite part, and I wish the whole film had that same level of energy. Again, it just dips just a little bit, but man, the way that they just edited and set up how Bob and how Perfidia were, how they went from basically being French 75 members to starting a family to Perfidia running away. And so all of that just, I think, was a great setup. It's probably some of the best setup since maybe Sinners. Sinners has great world building, and I thought this film did an excellent job on that as well. Guys, those are all of my thoughts as to why I think this film, One Battle After Another, is timeless. There's a lot of things that I'm probably missing, and so if I am, well, let me know down below in the comments. Let me know if you agree or disagree with some of my thoughts. Again, I think I'm pretty sure a lot of people will disagree with the cons that I had about it being a little too long, could have cut some of the scenes, as well as just the payoff for Willa's character. Again, to me, I feel like if those pieces would have been a little bit more smoother or executed a little bit better, it would have been, again, a definite timeless, could have been one of my favorite movies of the year. Don't know where it's going to land yet, but again, let me know your opinion though. I want to hear from you. Leave a comment on YouTube, on Spotify, for Apple Podcasts, leave a review or send me an email on timelessmoviepod@gmail.com. I want to hear what you guys thought about one battle after another, and also let me know if it is timeless for you. All right, everybody. Appreciate you guys listening and hearing my rambling thoughts about one battle after another. My name is Victor Vasquez. This has been episode number 153 of the Timeless Movie Podcast. Make sure to check out next week's episode as we cover a new film, and that film is actually going to be The Smashing Machine with Dwayne Johnson. I am super excited to check that one out, so make sure to check out the channel for that new episode. All right, everybody. Thanks so much, and I'll talk to you later.